So in this part of the demo, we're going to look at a before and after picture. We're going to look at the current open data experience, and then we're going to see how that experience evolves on the new platform and what that means to the personas that we care about. So we're taking a data set that is incredibly valuable. It's the crime data in the city of Chicago from 2001 to the present day. This is a really important data set because, as you can imagine, a great deal of people care about this information that is currently buried in this data set. Now, the default view is to look at this data as a table on the web and then offer visualization capabilities such as charts and maps and different ways to contextualize the data that allow somebody who's motivated enough and skilled enough to create a visual representation of this data that helps people understand this data better and hopefully relate them to their context. But it's really hard to look at this data and answer some very basic questions, such as, is crime going up or going down in the city of Chicago? What are the most common types of crime? And how does that picture vary from one neighborhood to the next? So when we set out to develop the new open data experience, we specifically sought to address this by building an experience that immediately answers people's questions. For example, so this is the exact same data set in the new user experience, and you can see that the metaphor is vastly different. We go from a default tabular view of data to a visual representation of that data. And the table hasn't gone away. It's just not the first thing we focus on when we present this data. So this page is automatically generated based on an understanding of this data set and what the different columns or fields mean. For example, we have a type, a crime type, and in the new experience, Socrata takes that data set, profiles all the individual columns or fields, and then creates a card for each of these columns. So we know there is a type category. Therefore, in the new experience, we automatically visualize that or represent that as this card that shows the different types of crime. But not only that, but that shows the exact number of crimes in each category. So right off the bat, we're able to answer a host of questions related to what are the most common types of crime, what's the second most common type of crime, etc., etc. We mentioned, a very basic question. Is crime going up or going down in the city of Chicago? We can see that the long-term trend on this timeline card, which is automatically generated from looking at the date and time attributes of the crime records, that the longer term is crime is definitely going down in Chicago. But we can also see other pieces of insight, such as the seasonality of crime. We can see that crime goes up in the summer and comes way down in the winter months. A very common question that people might have is, how does that picture change from one neighborhood to the next? Now, in the new platform and in the new user experience in Socrata, that is a vastly different experience. So we go from, capturing the location of a crime or anything that actually has a location attribute, and we take that, we automatically figure out where did this happen, and then we map it to what we call these boundary cards. Now, these are cards that show neighborhoods, that show school districts, that show human understandable boundaries that a great deal of people care about, such that we can look at this crime data set and very quickly see the difference in crime between different neighborhoods and see how that picture looks like for a neighborhood that we care about.